The last benches. Great, thank you. First of all, I will reiterate that we are very fortunate to have Shikhar ji in his new role. We have seen him in different roles and different phases, and I think it's congratulations to him once again for his well earned. This one? Okay. All right. So, having said that, let's jump onto this subject, the power of thought. I felt the moment I tried to imagine this subject, the visuals flowed naturally, and then I was told that the visuals that I showed to some people themselves were very powerful, leaving alone the subject that we're going to dwell here. But it is going to be more physics. How many of you are physics students? You can see a lot of speaker himself. You can see a lot of physics coming into play today, and it will unfold very soon. But before that, let me be a little lightweight and ask you a few questions. But before that, I want to narrate one incident that happened yesterday. For this very meeting, I wanted to invite my friend whom I did not talk for more than 2.5 months. And I sent him the invite, which is nothing but our poster. And then somebody was, I thought I wanted to call him, but then somebody was at the door. I opened the door, took a parcel. Then I turned around, there was a call coming in from that person. Oh, that was quick, I thought. Then I said, Kannan, are you going to come tomorrow? There was a little bit of silence. Come where? He said. Kannan, I sent you an invite. You're going to come tomorrow? No, I didn't see that. I mean, in fact, I'm driving. I thought I will call you because it has been quite a while I talked to you. Something occurred to me that I should talk to you. I will come to that a little later. Then I want to ask you a few questions. When you visit a place, there is a you feel that it is haunted. You feel running away from that place. Did anybody come across that? Not haunted, you feel unpleasant also sometimes. Right? Sometimes you feel in the modern world, it's called Gen Z world, it's called vibes, right? You have a good vibes. You feel very good about that place and you want to stay even though you are no longer required. Same. Then one more. There are two people in a room and a person is humming a song. Humming, not coming out full, but there's another person who is listening, not listening, but working. Both of them are working. After a few minutes, the second person is beginning to hum the same song. Hum. Did it happen to you? Right? So, what is happening here? Is this physics? Is it the thoughts that are going around? Are there forms that are coming out? What is happening? What happened with my friend? What happens with you all when you visited some places? And what happens when you begin to hum something that you did not hear from your friend? Friends, welcome to the world of thought forms. And here we are today to discuss the methodology of thought forms. Before I invite Shikhar to introduce the subject, I just want to spend about a minute here. Thought forms. What are these? It's a kind of an analogy to a a router, Wi-Fi broadband router. All of you have in your homes. It continuously emanates data packets, but it passes through the walls, people, and so on. But can the chairs and tables receive those data packets? No, because they are not designed like that. They don't have the receivers. They don't have the dongles to receive the data packets, but they pass through. Similarly, our brain is also wired in such a way that continuously hundreds and hundreds of data packets are sent. Right now, I'm talking about router. But if one of you have not listened to what I'm saying or paid attention to it, but were coming, you saw a peacock on the way, and you're thinking about the peacock, how beautiful it is. That person will, even whatever I'm talking about, digital router, will not receive because he's thinking about peacock. there is a thought form released. Now, in this floor, as we are speaking, there are thought forms about router, there are thought forms of peacocks, right? So, I will request Shikharji, having said that, to introduce this concept of thought forms and then start this conversation. Shikharji.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Madras Theosophical Federation, for inviting me for this discussion. And before we go into the subject, I just want to say that this is a subject which almost everyone talks about these days. But this is also a subject that was one of the very significant messages from the theosophical literature that we received in the 19th century. Until that time, for science, it was out of sight, out of mind. So the things that we do not see, which we are not able to see, or which the equipments cannot measure, they don't exist. But even at that time, even in Mahatma letters, if you read, or especially later on, that idea was that thought was developed with clairvoyant investigations by Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater, and we have several books based on which this discussion we are going to have. Thought forms, man, visible, invisible, power and control of thought, and everything. Why we are discussing it today? Because even it is a very day-to-day subject, but sometimes I feel we take it for granted. And refreshing discussions like this somehow makes us understand, or shakes us to understand the seriousness of this subject, which ultimately is the path through which we make our destiny. We can't blame anybody, the planets, the God, or any external situations, but Theosophy very clearly explains that we are the maker of our own destiny. And this whole process begins with thought. Because thought, when is verbalized, becomes words. Words are speech. When we start saying things on a regular basis, they become our actions. I heard this first time from Professor Shinde in one of his talks. Then actions repeated becomes our habit. Habit makes our character. And then the character means the way we are leading our life, we are putting in the seeds of causes and the consequences, which is destiny. So, thought is directly related to our destiny. If we live our life in a particular manner and just want to change the consequences, that is not going to happen. We have to work on the root cause of that. And that is what little bit we are going to talk about, because this is a very, very vast subject. Let us see how much we can cover today.
Yes.
And because more than the information or sharing here, the purpose of this discussion is to create a spark in each and every one of us to go and read more, to study more, to contemplate more on the subject, because everything cannot be covered in a lecture or a discussion like this. So, shall
Yes.
I begin, or you want to say something?
Yeah. So, having said that, on the thoughts, we have given the introduction. Thoughts are always on we think that is on the mental or astral side of things, depending upon the nature of the thought. If it is an intellectual thought, it is a mental portion that comes out. If it is an emotional one, it is an astral. But how about the physical? Can the thought have an impact on the physical side? Is there a chemistry or a physics ever?
It's a chemical, it's chemistry and physics both involved.
Yeah.
And so to begin with, if we say, what is a thought? Or who creates thought? How is thought created? So there are two approaches to it. The approach of modern science and the approach of spirituality or theosophy or philosophy. So modern science says, anybody wants knows what the modern science says about thought? It says that thought is the result of an electrochemical reaction in the brain. Even the consciousness is the outcome of that chemical process in the brain. So brain is the creator of thought. Okay? But on the other hand, science now also is recognizing the fact that the kind of thoughts we have can change the constitution of our brain. Different people have different brain. I mean, the fundamental shape remains the same, but based on how they have lived their life, what thoughts they have been giving shelter into the mind or the brain will show or will define the structure of the brain. And that is why a brain of a meditator is completely different in structure from the one who is busy all the time in thinking of materialistic gains or some other things like that. So now the question arises, if thought is the created and brain is the creator, and thought can change the brain, so does it mean the created is changing the creator? Right? The creator is always on a higher level, right? So if the created, the thought, is able to change the brain, which is the creator as per science, this somehow doesn't add up. But the modern science, I think Vinayji will agree with me, that even they say, no, this is a function of the brain itself. We can think of a software which keeps writing its own code to improve it while getting the feedback. So, okay, understood. But then another question arises. What gives the power of observation and this intent of change? For example, I have a habit of something. I want to change it. So who is giving this thought that I want to change it? Because if thought is created by the brain, which is already habitual to a particular kind of thinking, then where is this intent coming from? So here we come across the limitations of the modern science, that they are not able to explain how this electrochemical reaction transforms into a thought with a subject and an object and an emotion. And that's where theosophy comes to our rescue, or most of the spiritual texts, I would say, that thought actually, but for this, we have to accept the multifold constitution of a human being. That human being is not just a physical body with physical organs, but there are subtle aspects of a human being or anything that exists in this world. And it is in the mental aspect of that human being when a vibration occurs. It comes, that is a thought vibration, and it comes to the brain. When it is received by the brain, then the modern science can in the form of electrochemical reactions. Then they put these electrodes and all, and they see the changes in the electricity. So that's what theosophy tells. And The power of thought that we are talking about is today. If we see our daily life, how many thoughts or types of thoughts we harbor in a day? Thousands and thousands of thoughts. Some in one direction, some in other direction, some in no direction. And if we channelize this energy, if, that's a very big if, and that is why, first of all, only humans can do that. Humans have an option to do that. And that is why the birth as a human being becomes so important, that we have been given this power in our hand, or in our mind, I would say, that we can use it for our acceleration, not only our, but collective acceleration, evolution of everyone, or we can use it for the retardation, individual and collective. And as you can see here in the slides, wonderful slides that Vinay has made, that different kinds of thoughts, different kinds of forms. Thought takes the forms, because thought, as I mentioned earlier, are not just vibrations but living entities. This is a very remarkable thing that Theosophy has explained. It is not merely a vibration, it is a living entity like you and me, only at a subtler plane. And if there is an entity, what are the characteristics it will have? It will have a form, right? Like suppose we are sitting here. So how can you define the person who is Mr. or Mrs. or something XYZ? They have a form, right? They have definiteness of the body, right? Not like amoeba, which keeps changing. The body is so fluid that it keeps changing its shape, or like a bacteria. We have a very well defined shape, definite shape. We have a lifetime that we live for so and so many years. And we have a particular face, color, and everything. So these four things together make up what Vinay is, or I am. Here we call Shikhar or somebody. So all four of these characteristics are there in our thoughts. And we keep peopling our surroundings with these living entities. This is very, very important if we absorb it, that we are peopling our surroundings all the time with these living entities. That's what,
Yeah.
when you said in the beginning, if you go to a place,
New place or a haunted place,
in a library, in a hospital, in a railway station, in a Theosophical Society campus, why do you feel so different? Because so many people have done a certain kind, or thought certain kind of thoughts in that particular area. So all the time, those thought forms, living entities are there. And if somebody comes in harmony with those thoughts, they feel uplifted. They feel that, that kind of environment is there. And before I hand over to Vinayji,
I just want to, can you explain on when you touched upon the thought forms? Before we go to the next one, can you explain on the vortices? So as we think, as we are living our normal life, there are vortices of thoughts that are going on. It is said that there are about 50, 60 vortices of thoughts always on the body. It is also said that if you are hurt, there is a hurt feeling. Somebody has insulted you, or you felt bad about something. It'll have a dent, kind of it's like a wart on your body that will retain. I think good ones will retain for 48 hours. and then bad ones will last longer. So just want to touch on that.
Okay.
Those vortices.
Okay, yeah, that is something again, thanks to theosophical leaders earlier who wrote this book, that every thought plus feeling is shown here, or basically it creates vortice on our body, not physical body, but our astral mental bodies, and depending on what kind of thought, what type of thought is there, that we will come to in a while, it will be there in the body. And if it is a negative emotion or thought, what Vinay ji is saying, suppose I become angry for 5 minutes, and okay, the anger passed down and situation is over. I think anger is gone. I am no more angry. But no, the effect of that 5 minutes of anger will last for the next 36 to 48 hours in my surrounding. And so, in that 48 hours, if I get another opportunity to become angry or irritated, that earlier vibration will age it. So, this time again, and then we get caught in a cycle. That becomes our habit. We say that is a very irritable person, or very happy person, or cheerful person. So, the good thing, though, from the nature side, I think, which is a favor for us humans, is that the good thought, the positive thought effects last longer in the body than the negative one. Again, in the books of Animation, they written that about, if you have a good thought, positive thought, helpful thought, the effects of it last for about 72 hours. And so, I mean, if you have to compensate for, suppose I became angry. So now the consequences are, I mean, it will remain, but how can I undo it? How can I control Z it?
Yeah.
Control Z.
Yeah.
Control Z is in computer keyboard, undo what you did. We cannot undo what we had done, but we can start a vibration of opposite nature to counter that effect. So if I became angry, okay, let me think of more of love, or think of someone that you love, that will generate the thought of loving kindness, of compassion in you, which will take off that.
Yeah, I think we will dwell on it with some slides.
With some slide.
But Shikharji, I wanted to talk about this vortices that are spinning. Right, the spin of the vortices. What do they do? How do they sustain for 48 hours or even more than that? So I think nature has given us the entire world. It could be a curse, it could be a boon, what is known as elemental essence. Right? So this elemental essence is like a malleable substance. It's all over. Of course, we can't see it, but as per the textbooks that are given to us, it's the other side of the world, which is, it's like a clay, but electromagnetic clay, malleable. But then when the thought emanates from that clay, from that our mind, which is means, as I mentioned, some portion of the mental body, if it is intellectual, some portions of the an astral, if it is an emotional one, they emanate, they get out into the world, but then the vibrations with which it is coming out, if it is, there are different types of vibrations already which suitable in the elemental essence. But then if this vibration as a thought, that is, it's still a vibration, not a form yet, immediately it latches onto the elemental essence, and there it takes birth to a form. So it is a body that is supplied, elemental essence acts as a body, and then into it the life is infused from our own mental and astral energies. So imagine if you are planning to do a holiday, you want to go on a cruise, Mumbai to, of course you can't go to Kuwait now, but any cruise that you're planning, right? You are thinking about a cruise. and then from your mental form comes out an image like this, and it sails, and it is set in motion. And then, as Shikhar said, if you are going to think about it every day, that ship will be a pirate of the Caribbean. So then, what about this is a normal day-to-day thing? But if you are thinking about visiting a temple, or you are thinking about a deity, right? So what happens then? There is another form that is coming up. The mental elemental essence come into play, your thought energies are going out, and then it takes shapes and it floats. You can see in villages, you see, think about the deities and then some weird stories about actually deity doing something. It is half intelligent. This elemental essence is a kind of a half intelligent being which actually takes shape and then acts with a little bit of intelligence. So deities, these are the deities made from the thought, sometimes appear in certain occasions, as it is said. So on the flip side, if you are thinking evil, somebody has hurted you, you're very badly hurt, and then I mean, you means even me also, everybody, a normal person, they relive that incident and then begin to curse that person. Oh, he is going to pay for it. He has hurt me as injustice, total injustice. He is going to pay for it. Even if you are sitting and meditating, some you're going to get rid of that thought. This kind of demons come out of it, and then they fly, and then they fly like real creatures, almost like real creatures, and then they begin to play havoc. It's like a machinery that is given. This entire schema is like a machinery to us, but we don't know how to operate that. Unconsciously, consciously, we are generating thousands and thousands of images and thoughts that are going to affect the whole world. So I think we should think responsibly also when we are thinking. So having said that, Shikharji, do you think that these are real living creatures? They take a form, they take a shape, they take a color. We're going to discuss on that a little in a while. But then, do they really become live, and they are real creatures, living creatures?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. It means we create our own angels and we create our own demons.
Absolutely.
So if we are thinking negative, we are actually thinking negative of anyone. Basically, we are creating, peopling these kind of images that you showed around us and around the surroundings. And if we are thinking in a positive manner, loving manner, friendly manner, we are creating angels around us. So isn't that superpower that we have? Isn't it? I mean, imagine what a superpower that we have got as a human being, and uh, amazing. I mean, if we go to the really depth of this, that even each and every thought we have to be like aware that we should not be thinking along certain lines, and that's why I think, and at the feet of the master, in a good conduct, cheerfulness or thinking positive, it's like very, no matter what the external situations are, no matter what problems I am having, any kind of problems, but still let us be cheerful. But again, coming back to what you said about the thought forms. So we discussed the four characteristics of these living entities, and it is not an exaggeration. We are repeating again and again, because in Mahatma letters it is very clearly written that these are living entities, only at a subtler plane that we are creating. So to begin with, that I said four things. Two of them are okay. First of all, the type of,
a little bit about how we can see their travel. So these they have taken a they are either revered as deities or demons, okay, likewise. But then, they are rejected out like missiles. I would like to dwell on that. They are coming out like missiles. But then where do they go?
Yes.
Are they targeted to somebody that we are thinking about, or they just float around? I think some of them just float around without any specific direction. But how do they travel actually? How do they achieve their purpose?
So that depends on the type of thought that is. Is it a directed thought? Is it a self-centered thought? Or it is just an undirected, very vague kind of thought? I think all of us here can relate to these three type of thoughts. Directed thoughts means that it is directed towards someone from parents to children, children to parents, friends to friends, some relative to another relative, from infinite number of examples. So the moment it is a directed thought, that is the aim, the objective is there. A mother or a father, let's say, think of a child in some other country or some other place with love, they are missing them. So what happens? It is a directed thought, so the thought form is created and it goes to the child, which later on Vinay will explain. Similarly, self-centered thought. If I am all the time thinking about myself only, so what will I do? I will create around me a shell kind of thing with those kind of thoughts, and that kind of thoughts will become my habit. Then I will find it very difficult to break that shell. And this happens a lot with depression. Like once a person gets into that cycle of depression, because it comes on from time to time, in the cycles, and if we are not doing anything about it, I'm not talking about the medical aspect, but I'm talking about the spiritual aspect of it, to overcome that from the inner meditation or something else, then slowly it becomes such a habit of our mental body that becomes impossible to break that habit. Applies same for other habits also.
Yeah.
And the last one that I personally call psychic garbage is that we keep carrying, which is undirected thoughts, thoughts that keep coming while walking on the road. We sometimes it is also called window shopping, or we go on a road. Oh, this is that nice. Oh, if I had that. All of us might have experienced that. But these thoughts arise, we give them some energy, not to any effect. If I am so passionate about something I saw, and if I am not working for it, then that thought is useless. Then it only becomes a burden on me, and what happens is all these kind of thoughts are the ways that our mental energy keeps on leaking. And that's why the putting mind to concentrate becomes very difficult.
Yeah, so that was a good explanation about how the three ways in which we experience these kind of a thoughts, knowingly or unknowingly. So the first one was about the thought going actually hitting the person to whom it is intended. But you said about the receptivity, where if the person is inclined to, in the same way it is tuned to that kind of vibration, they receive it. But how about a condition where they are not tuned to that? So and if it is a maleficent thought, it is a thought of vengeance or not a positive thought, a total negative thought, and the other person is on the negative side. He may receive it or he may not receive it. But what happens to the thought that is the missile that is sent out?
That anything that we send out comes back also. And what we are just discussing is the directed thoughts, when it is directed to someone, whether good or bad, helpful or not so helpful, will definitely go to that person. If the person has something of that negativity within, they will receive it. Because to receive a particular vibration, you have to have the receiver, no, for that. So, like in radio, I mean, now radios are obsolete. Anybody using still radio? Okay. Okay. We adjust, okay, in the cars you get FM, no? So we arrange to the frequency. So if the receiver does not have that particular frequency, which the other person is sent, other station is transmitting, your receiver will not receive it. And that is why it is said that a pure heart is the best armor to any negative thought in the world. Why pure heart? Because that person does not have any kind of enmity towards anyone in this world. So no negative thought can harm that person. Similarly, but the person who has sent it, if the other person receives it, of course, it will get affected. If the person is so pure that he doesn't get or she doesn't receive it, what happens? It will bounce back. And not only bounce back, I am tempted to quote Kabir Das here.
Please.
Kabir Das, everybody knows, he wrote one couplet. जो तोको कांटा बोए ताही बो तो फूल, तोको फूल के फूल हैं, बाको है त्रिशूल. Now see the science of it, what he is saying in English. If somebody sends to you thorns or gives you thorns, you give that person flowers. Why? Because since you are offering flowers, you will still be carrying the essence, fragrance of flowers. So your surroundings will be, good fragrance and everything. But that person who has sent you thorns will have the trident. That is 3 times what the person has sent returns. Why 3 times? This whole nature is based on 3 gunas. So Satgun, Rajogun and Tamasgun. So everything, whatever we send is, how scientific that is. So if the person doesn't receive it, it will bounce back on that person.
Yeah. So there could be some exceptions for this, maybe the rare exceptions before that actual bouncing back happens.
Yeah.
Is of a loving thought.
Yes.
Right? So the loving thought where it is sent by a mother to a child and it is going, and then, as I said, the radio frequency is not tuning because the child is playing video games. And the kind of video games that are played nowadays, my God, violent, bloodshed. They have a sword, they will chop off the head, there is a blood coming in. The kind of thought forms that are created by the children, it is unimaginable. When we are introduced to the concept of thought forms, we can only imagine what will happen if those children are playing those kind of violent games, right? So what happens is thought. The loving thought from a mother does not bounce back. It holds on there. It lingers. It will wait for the right opportunity to unleash itself onto the child. So it will wait until the exams come, March, until the video games are shut, and then they are put behind, then the child is ready to receive. That is when the entire thought form is going into the emerging, and then the child is elated again. That love and affection, the same frequency, 98.3 is coming up.
Oh, yes.
Right? Then, that is the reason why you see little children, suddenly they are playing and then they run to their mother and cling to them. So behind the scenes, this mechanics
is happening.
It's physics and chemistry that is happening. So, Shikharji, can you, you've been talking about these forms. We talked about the types of forms which are at play with their magnitude, and you mentioned about their strength and all. But can you explain some characteristics of this the thought form. The thought form, of course, it will come back finally. It will reach the mother back if the child still is playing games. But one example I'm telling you. But then the mother is again elated, and then she is full of ecstasy of love, whether the person is receiving it or not. The receiver who is sending it back, they will be full of love again. But then what is happening here? What happens to that mother when she's experiencing? What kind of uh, you know the experience that she will have, and what kind of forms, what are these forms, they have shapes, they have color, they have sizes, and they have definiteness also. I think, can you explain this definiteness and also the size of it? What defines them?
That's a very interesting thing to go into, although I think many people must have read the books earlier, but still, it's always good to refresh, as I said. But just going before on that, just I would like to comment on the thing that you said about the children and the video games. That maybe that is the reason that there is an age limit on different media to which the children can be exposed to, because children have very strong imagination. And what is imagination? Imagination is also a thought. So they see a certain kind of movie or a game or social media, and they start the chain of thoughts that you will be explaining later. So that is actually something very important to know the reason behind it, why it takes place. And coming to the thought forms, finally, that we discussed, they have four characteristics. So I'll when we talk about the form or a shape, suppose I say the word rose. Everybody imagined rose? How was that? Even the word rose, what kind of feeling does that give you? Comforting, soothing, right? If I say dinosaur, okay, maybe little uncomfortable, little. Same is with the thoughts. See, the form of a rose and the form of a dinosaur. Similarly, the form or the shape of the thought form, that is the thought vibration taking over the elemental essence, will depend on the nature of thought, as you can see. What kind of thought is it? Is it a positive thought or a negative thought? Positive thought, of course, there are so many words we can add to that, positivity or negativity. But basically, if the thought is something which is of help, of care, concern to anybody, it is a positive thought. And constructive thought. Any thought which has an element of hurting someone or making some damage to someone is a negative. But let us not take it to extreme, because let's say the example of a judge, right? A judge has to pronounce a sentence, let's say, to the person who has committed a crime. Judge is not personally invested in that thing. He does not have any emotion that he doesn't like the person. He has a law, and based on law, he gives his or her judgment. So there, that aspect is not working. But when someone intentionally thinks of someone to hurt or help, that gives the form. And you can see on the left side, Vinay has so beautifully created the slide, and on the right hand side, different thought forms. And again, I'm saying, like, children or people who are sensitive can sometimes see these forms, or if not see, they can feel like a haunted house or some other place which has that majority of thought forms. So the form basically is decided by the nature of thought. Then coming to the definiteness of a form. Why is this is very, very important? Because And maybe that is why I remember when I was a child, or I mean, even now, children, like when they start growing up, what do they do? If especially if they have a room to themselves, they put a poster or a photograph of who? Okay, maybe if a soccer fan may put of Messi, Ronaldo, or someone. If a cricket fan, Sachin Tendulkar. If a little bit spirituality, Vivekanand, or H.P. Blavatsky, or Colonel Olcott, Annie Besant, or some other eminent personality. What is the science behind it? Because every day, every morning, when you see that photograph, that thought gets strengthened in the mind, that this image inspires me and I want to be like that. So the moment we see that image, all the good qualities of that image come to mind. And the moment I keep thinking, what will happen? Over a period of time, I realize those qualities are coming in me too. And that is the definiteness of thought. It only comes when we are very clear about what is our aim, what is the purpose. That it's not like, oh, today I want to be Sachin Tendulkar, tomorrow I played for some time, I didn't like it, I want to be Roger Federer or Amitabh Bachchan or Brad Pitt or someone, but fixed, repeated, when the thought is very clear, I want to do this, that gives the definiteness of thought. And but with one example, I will just would like to, which people can relate it. Many times we hear the stories of some accident, right? A train or a flight or a bus going, and it had an accident, and okay, let's say nobody died but people got injured. We feel bad, we read the news in the news media, and we feel bad about it, and we send good thoughts and healing thoughts to that group. This is a thought. What if in that group someone from your family was there? What will happen? Immediately, what will happen? You will put all your focus. You may even try to go there and help and do everything. Imagine what you see the difference. So, when you are personally invested in something, the thought becomes clear. And that's what happens when we think of something with clarity. And from that, Vinayji, would you like to tell us about the other two things?
Yeah. So we are talking about the length. I think we can extend some time because it is going to be. We started late, 15 minutes late, and the subject also is turning out to be interesting. I looked at from the faces of the people, so we will continue for some time. So the other two characteristics of the thought form is about the strength. So it is living longer. There is a lifespan for a thought. So what defines the lifespan? What is the what are the main factors that will define? I think one is the mental energy, right? So it is the mental energy with which the missiles are shot out. Along with the mental energy, to your point, you mentioned about the personal side of it. That means that you are infusing into it passion, infusing into it the desire. The personal element will be coming into the intellectual part, the energy part. So the energy here now again we are talking about physics. This is pure physics plus little bit of chemistry where energy plus the desire goes gives the fuel for that rocket fire and sustain and go that far. But the duration, what defines duration is of course the intensity, but then the repetition. So you fire a missile, it's not like a fire and forget. There is another missile that is going behind it, exactly the same. It's a clone of another missile and another and another. So these missiles, and of course I'm using the word missiles because the definition that was given to us in the books is the sharpness and then the intensity of its travel. But then when you are reinforcing your thought every day or even every hour or a minute, that thought picks up momentum and sustains. I think on the positive side, 150 years back, there was a great thought that was given to us, and therefore the society was formed, and it is still sustaining because those thoughts are continuously being reinforced, either people who are living or lived, right? So now, this is I mean, that's the positive side. The negative side, of course, is going to be dangerous. Very dangerous if these rockets are with nuclear weapons. On the astral side, I'm talking. But this is important because I would like to give an example here how important this thought will have an impact on the when it actually lands on the intended person or unintended person also. So I was dwelling on this thought. All of you must have heard about this word called dristi or an evil eye on the little children, right? Younger children, small children. Whenever the little ones are exposed to outside world, or either on the stage or their little ones performing, or it's a birthday function that is happening, there are a lot of eyes on them. Like if some of the love that is emanated towards a child, it is a real pure love, but there is a grasping love. A grasping love which is actually begins to shoot like a missile. I'll do a little bit of dramatic for you to explain. I would say, such a cute kid, right? I'm making it dramatic. So is it required to do this animation to bless the child, right? So that is the grasping side. That will unknowingly go shoot like a missile, and then I'll have to tell something about the children. I think C.W. Ledbetter has clearly marked this, what happens till the age of 7. We have this wonderful elemental essence that is given to us actually until the age 7. The elemental essence forms a little protective layer until the fragile auras of the children just developing are yet to take shape. In that period, this malleable substance of elemental essence serves as an iron dome only to some extent. But then it is not designed for the purpose of protecting these missiles coming in. I'm sorry, I'm using this terminology because I'm seeing a lot of news. But but this protective layer, it doesn't is not designed for that. These missiles will penetrate and hit the little child because, and then you can see in the evening, the vitality is gone. It is shrunk like a little flower, and it'll have some headache or something. So because the vitality, there's a dent in the vitality with this little grasping love, or even there is, of course, there is a jealousy. Suppose, okay, oh, that girl, that little one, this family is so good. They have such a nice, cute family. Finished. That's envious, even more deadlier missile is shot. So I'm just trying to say that the intensity with which the missiles are shot will have a definite effect. And then the last characteristic is about the color. So we don't see this on the physical side, but there is a definiteness on the other side, which the clairvoyant investigations have revealed to us in the research books that is available to us in the society. And then what is this color? The nature of the thought again defines this color. If it is a beautiful thought, wonderful, lustrous colors will come out. If it is devotion, love, thought full of devotion, there is that, I think it is blue, and it is pure love, it is rose. And the flip side, if it is anger, it is pure red. Jealousy, it's kind of a brown. So a lot of colors are, different amount of colors are given on the both sides. And then these demonic and the angelic sides, which are taking forms, living longer, also are shown with vivacious colors, which are demonic or angelic with their own representations of the colors. So I would like to say here ask you a question. Now we are all equipped with this power. As we said, we have inborn with tremendous power, and then that power is reinforced from above with energy, that is unending energy. Should how should we not be responsible now that should we not make a responsible living rather than giving a vague, lazy, and inertia kind of a living? So, what do you think will happen when we are kind of not acting responsibly, even if it is going to be a normal evening that we spend in a chair? And then, how do you think that the bodies will shape different thoughts over a period of time? We have different bodies, the astral, mental, and then different colors around the bodies that happen because of these thoughts that we are giving, and then the nature itself changes over a period of time. So, can you just talk about the responsibility and then the bodies of
Yeah, we'll be quick.
yes, yes.
I'll just ask a question to everyone. I think that will explain itself. How do you define your experience after a visit for a few hours to a shopping mall? Tired. Exhausted. Everyone? Okay, most of you. How do you define your experience after a couple of hours visit to Theosophical Society in Banyan Tree? Energetic. Everyone? Serene. Why? I mean, same 2-3 hours in AC. The malls are air conditioned. So comfortable. Here there is no AC. We have to, sun is there and still. So basically, to cut the story short, we all know that when we are in the mall, again, what we talked about psychic garbage. Our senses are attacked by so many advertisements and, this product, that product, buy this, free that, and all this. And in the reply to these things, we are generating thoughts. And the more thoughts like that, those are generated, our energy, mental energy, is leaking like this. And so, after enjoying a movie and popcorns and shopping, we should be refreshed. But not, it doesn't happen. And coming here in the Theosophical Society, sitting under the banyan tree in silence, and we feel like, what connected to the source, and we feel so energetic. So that itself, I think it's the difference. So we have to be very, very aware and careful about our thought process, which is actually there is a word for that, metacognition. Yes. Metacognition, that most of the time we are aware of our internal thought process, what is happening, and that is part of meditation. We'll come to it later.
Yeah.
But for now, but one of the things that I'll quickly go through about this gossip.
Gossip.
I think everybody must have heard about gossip, and it's a very interesting subject. We enjoy it a lot. But also, in At the Feet of the Master book, it is said one of the 3 great sins, even it is called wicked, apart from cruelty and superstition, because it is a sin against love. Why sin against love? Because we are talking about the gossip in which people gather together and talk negative about someone, the third person, which is again, the whole cycle of thought happens. And how it creates a sin, the moment I think negative of someone, I have filled my surrounding with negative thought. So first loss to me. If I have generated that thought around me, it will affect the people nearby me. So nearby me is my family members, my friends. So I am making them also negative. Then it will reach to that person about whom we are talking. And that person, if the person is pure, as we discussed, completely, that will return to us. But suppose that person also has little bit of, like every human being does, negativity. So our negative thought, group thought, will actually enhance that negativity in that person. And then when that person does something wrong, that karmic outcome is also ours. So that's how complicated and intricate is the movement of law of karma. We think I am living a good life, doing good, and everything is okay. No, if this is how we are connected with the minor things that are happening in the world, and that is why gossip is a very, and law of cause and effect. Whatever we think and share in the universe will come back to us.
Correct.
But sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we will look at the effects of this thought, right? You said you are not very productive and you are not responsible. That is one aspect of it, even including the gossip. But not only you are doing injustice to others, but your own self. You are causing permanent damages to your bodies, and it is very difficult to repair them if you are not responsibly behaving, thinking rather. So, just a little touch on this psychosomatic
Yeah.
effect on the bodies.
Body.
Then I think we will go to one step before meditation, and then
We'll
wind
close it. Okay. Yeah. That is, I think, that is actually where the science is now. For long, it is accepting. Everybody must have heard the word psychosomatic. Psychosomatic is a very common word these days. So psycho is our psyche, that is mind, thoughts and emotions, and som is body. So the things that happen to our body due to our psyche. So no matter what medicines we keep giving to the physical body, it will continue unless we work on our psyche. And that is where Annie Besant and Leadbeater, again I am saying in their books, they have correlated certain kind of thoughts when repeated give rise to certain body ailments or diseases. And there was like there even was research on a group of people, people who usually spoke truth and the people who habitual liars. So habitual liars were more prone to heart attacks. Why? Because the moment that person is telling a lie, what is happening? Nobody else knows he or she is telling a lie, but who knows? That person knows. So there is an inner conflict. I know I am telling a lie, so there is a conflict in consciousness. That conflict expresses itself in the body, physical body, in the form of heart or some other problem like that. Similarly, fear gives a certain kind of disease or problems. And on the opposite, if it is a loving thought or compassion, friendship, inclusiveness, that gives the individual a good effect on the body also.
So, I think this is a wonderful explanation. But then we have seen how now we are beginning to feel the power of the thought, right? Either for the good or for the bad. But then how to overcome it. So, as you said, in the past, we have created habits. We have got tremendous amount of habits that we have inculcated within us, either over centuries or lives altogether. That has become our second nature. Our means everybody included as a humanity. Then it is okay. One fine moment there is under the banyan tree we are sitting, and then there is some enlightenment. Enlightenment happens, but can we change it? It may not happen overnight. So I will skip those and then go to that. Okay. So there is a definite amount of irritability that we can overcome. It is not just irritability, it could be various other kind of qualities that we have, negative qualities which we may have to overcome through meditation and then build the virtue. But then one step before we even begin to meditate, We have to overcome the past experiences. We have to neutralize. There is a beautiful analogy that is given in the books. Over centuries, we have put in motion a wagon. We are pushing it one direction continuously, over and over, again and again, the same quality of thought is going in. But then, how do you hold that back or reverse it? As you are pushing one fine moment, enlightenment has happened, you cannot hold it and then push it back. It cannot happen. So the real physics will come into play. What you could do is, I mean, it could be a wagon, it could be a small cart which is full of shopping articles, right? Instead of holding it like this, you might want to go the other side and try to push from the other side, opposite direction. So it is you are in the opposite direction there, and then trying to apply your force, physical force, and then try to bring that car to halt. Initially, can you immediately get it? You may not. If it is a heavy moving, fast moving vehicle, you may not be able to do it. You will just step back because the force itself will drive you, and you will put 3 steps, 4 steps back. If it is a real wagon, much more. But then it doesn't mean that it is failure. You're only the stepping back means that you are successful actually putting a resistance to a thought that is gone for so many years. Then the real mental energies that can flow through your mind, you can apply it back and neutralize that. Once you can neutralize that, I will skip this. Once you neutralize all of these, you will find a path ahead of what to do. Okay, you found you are able to neutralize your old thoughts, your old habits, but what is the way forward? You have choices on the positive side. Again, if you choose a negative side, again you are going back to the wagon, but it is your viveka and discrimination that will come into play, and then you can choose the right direction. But then, how to do that? So you have neutralized, that means you are calming your mind down, and this can happen even when you are stopping your wagon. This choice of path can happen. In fact, they are dual, they can happen simultaneously. Only when they can happen simultaneously can you actually stop the vehicle. That is fine. So you have already chosen the path, therefore you are applying the resistance. That is one. And then, but how? What are the physical and mental exercises that we can actually do? First of all, we could channel our thoughts. We cannot hold a bucket full of water flowing from a jog falls, right? So you cannot hold it, but you can channel them into different directions. So that one way of directing it, and doing daily puja. So mind is chitta vritti. That means it will change. It has a tendency to change, move from one to another. It's like a monkey. So our elders have given the method of puja. We will call the name of the deity and say, "Oh, Pado Pujyami, Nabhim Pujyami," heart and head. So why that methodology? It is because we are satisfying the nature of the mind to change and yet retain the divine in the mind, right? So finally, all idols are gone. It is only ourselves. We are sitting in a meditative mode and then trying to reverse the negative thoughts and trying to responsibly create positive thoughts. So, in this current world, when we are on the brink of the Third World War, I think we should be more responsible. Shikharji, do you want to take a little time on doing the practical exercises and also talk about a little bit of meditation?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I think as you have seen, we have skipped so many slides. We were very ambitious that we could complete all those slides, but good. Something must be left so that we can study more and discuss more. And this slide again, I mean, about meditation. Vinayji has very rightly explained how to counter the habits and all. This is about meditation, awareness, concentration, and willpower. But I think we won't be able to go into that. Instead, why not? Let us, whatever we have studied till now, put that into effect and do something practical also. Let us not leave this only to a theoretical discussion or study only. And one thing that I think many of us may know already, the power of group thoughts. Thought power increases not arithmetically, but exponentially. So if one person is there, okay, individual person is, thinking something good. But if there are one plus one, so it's not just two, it becomes even more, much uh, more than merely two. So why not take this opportunity of all of us right now we are here, and let's create a loving, compassionate thought form with all our willpower and imaginative power. So, are we willing to do it? Okay. So, I request everyone, when if you want to close your eyes and sit straight, little bit of imagination is involved again, which is our thought process, and little bit of the diagram of meditation, part of it, what Madam Blavatsky has given. Just take 3 deep breaths slowly. Breathing that is coming down to the navel. Now let us chant Om once together. Inhale. Now imagine that the size of our subtle body is gradually increasing. It has now become the size of this hall. Slowly, the size of the body has increased so much that it covers the whole city of Chennai. And we can see all the things, familiar things around. Now it has increased to the size of the state of Tamil Nadu. To the size of the whole country, India. We can use our imagination of the maps, the neighboring countries, the oceans, to be clear in our imagination. And slowly, our body is increased to the size of Mother Earth. And more. And now we can see Mother Earth in front of us, like a ball rotating in the space. And we can see all the things, the forests, the oceans, the deserts, the ice, the humans, the animals, everything we can see and feel. And now we can raise both our hands in the position of giving the blessings to Mother Earth and all its creatures, the blessing of love, the blessing of compassion, the blessing of joy, the blessing of abundance. And you can feel these rays coming out from our palm and going, reaching out to Mother Earth and everyone who is in need with the current world scenario. So many beings being hurt. Let them heal. Let them have a glimpse of hope that this too shall pass. And above all, we send our thoughts for everyone's spiritual evolution, which is the most important thing. You can think of someone who needs the help, or you can think of all the places where you think the help is needed. Or we can just send this to everyone. Love, joy, compassion, abundance, healing. Slowly, we can put down our hand and again imagine that the size of our body is coming back gradually to the size to the size of the state, to the size of the city, in this hall, and to our normal form. Although we are here now in our body, limited by dimensions, but our consciousness remains global if we continue to persist in this thought process, thinking for the welfare of everyone. And let us finally send everyone together. We can chant or we can say in English. I'll say in English and then in Sanskrit. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all seek that is auspicious. May no one suffer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Namaschid Dukkha Bhave Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now slowly we can open our eyes and let's share this feeling of love, joy and compassion with everyone we meet in our daily life. Thank you.
Thank you, Shikharji. Thank you, Shikharji. It was truly a great experience, especially the last one. Thank you so much for your time here, and we would like to stay on for some time. But you want to say something?
No, I would like to thank you, especially, and also Madras Philosophical Federation for arranging this event and especially wonderful subject and thinking of me to contribute. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Just hold on.